In the quiet coastal town of Felixstowe, Suffolk, the sea breeze carries a sense of calm. Families walk along the promenade, fishing boats rock gently in the harbor, and the rhythm of small-town life feels predictable and safe. But on the morning of September 19th, 1999, that calm was shattered. 17-year-old Victoria Hall left her home after spending the evening with friends. She was last seen walking along a residential street, just a short distance from where she should have been safe. She never made it home. Victoria was described as kind, warm, and responsible. She had just finished an evening out and had chosen to walk the short journey back. It was a route she knew, a route many teenagers had walked before, but somewhere in those quiet streets, she vanished. When she failed to return, alarm bells rang immediately. Her family reported her missing, and Suffolk police launched a desperate search. Hours later, the worst fears became reality. Victoria's body was discovered in a ditch near Creeding St. Peter, miles from where she had last been seen. The discovery stunned investigators. How had she been taken? Who had seen her? Why had no one intervened? The early investigation moved quickly. Detectives canvassed neighborhoods, knocked on doors, and followed every possible lead. Posters were printed, appeals were broadcast, tips flooded in. But despite the urgency, the case soon grew cold. There were no reliable eyewitnesses who could identify a suspect, no immediate forensic breakthrough, no confession, just grief, confusion, and silence. For Victoria's family, time did not heal. It only deepened the ache. Birthdays passed, anniversaries came and went. Each year without answers felt like another wound. Meanwhile, the public slowly shifted its attention elsewhere. The headlines faded. The town tried to move forward. But for those closest to Victoria, the question remained constant. Who did this? 7 years later, in 2006, Suffolk would once again be thrust into national horror. The bodies of 5 women were discovered near Ipswich. The media named the killer the Suffolk Strangler. The man eventually arrested and convicted for those murders was Steve Wright. His crimes shocked the United Kingdom. He was sentenced to life imprisonment for the killings of 5 women: Tanya Nicole, Gemma Adams, Annette Nichols, Paula Clennell, and Anneli Alderton. At the time, investigators examined whether Wright could be connected to other unsolved cases, including Victoria Hall's murder. But in 2006, the evidence was not sufficient to charge him in her case. The file remained open. Victoria's family waited. Years passed. Advances in forensic science transformed cold case investigations across the UK. DNA profiling became more sensitive. Samples once considered too small or degraded could now be analyzed. Old evidence was re-examined with new technology. And in that renewed effort, detectives returned to Victoria Hall's case file. Cold case investigators reviewed preserved forensic material. They retested samples. They re-interviewed witnesses. They reconstructed timelines. And gradually, the scientific picture sharpened. New DNA analysis pointed toward a chilling conclusion. The genetic profile linked back to a man already serving life sentences: Steve Wright. For decades, Victoria's murder had remained officially unsolved. Now, nearly 27 years after her death, investigators believed they had the answer. In 2026, Steve Wright was formally charged with the murder of Victoria Hall. The announcement reignited national attention. For many, it was a grim reminder of the terror that once gripped Suffolk. For Victoria's family, it was something else: the possibility of closure. In court, prosecutors laid out the forensic evidence. They described how preserved samples had been re-examined using modern DNA techniques. They detailed how the profile matched Wright. The defense challenged aspects of the timeline and the reliability of long-preserved evidence. But the weight of the science was compelling. Then came the confession. Wright admitted responsibility for Victoria Hall's murder. After nearly 3 decades of unanswered questions, the man responsible acknowledged what her family had known in their hearts. She had not simply vanished, she had been taken. The courtroom was silent as the guilty verdict was delivered. Another life sentence was imposed. Legally, it changed little for Wright, who was already serving whole life terms. But symbolically, it changed everything. For Victoria's family, the conviction meant recognition. It meant that her case was not forgotten. it meant that the system had not abandoned her. The renewed conviction also sparked wider conversations. How many cold cases could now be solved with evolving forensic science? How many families might one day receive long-delayed answers? And how many crimes once thought impossible to prove could now be reconstructed through microscopic traces left behind? The Victoria Hall case underscores a profound shift in modern policing. DNA is no longer static. Technology continues to evolve. Evidence stored decades ago can speak again. But beyond the science, beyond the courtroom, beyond the headlines, this story returns to a 17-year-old girl walking home in a quiet town. A teenager who trusted her surroundings. A family who waited 27 years for justice. And a community that never fully forgot. The name Suffolk Strangler may dominate headlines, but at the heart of this story is Victoria Hall. A daughter, a friend, a life interrupted. Her case reminds us that justice delayed is not always justice denied, that even when silence merging the past and present, truth can surface, that the silence of a cold case file can one day be broken. And as the waves continue to roll against the shores of Felixstowe, the town carries both its grief and its resilience. The conviction of Steve Wright for Victoria Hall's murder closes one chapter, but it also stands as a testament to persistence, to science, and to the enduring demand for accountability. Because behind every forensic report is a family waiting. Behind every cold case is a name. And behind every headline is a human life that mattered. Victoria Hall mattered. And after 27 years, her voice was finally heard.